Hi, I'd like to welcome you to this talk about Spaceport Leicester. My name is William Wells. I'm the commercial director at the University of Leicester and also the commercial lead heading up Spaceport Leicester. Spaceport Leicester, as you're going to learn, is a landmark piece of innovation, industrial infrastructure, which is emerging right now in Leicester and which is set to open in only 6 months' time in May of 2021. So there's a lot of interest in space, both nationally and globally, and that interest is really fueled by a number of things, not least by the fact that basically there is huge growth in the space sector taking place right now, driven by a number of things. It's driven by the fact that there's a whole set of data and analysis and technology emerging out of space, which is creating completely new products and services such as environmental monitoring or security analysis or financial analysis. Uh, but also, of course, um, what we're looking at the far extreme is the emergence of opportunities around, for example, space tourism. We see, Virgin pioneering this area, but also, of course, space exploration, both in terms of inhabitation opportunities, but also looking to kind of, mine space-based resources. So organizations such as SpaceX, for example, at the forefront here. But I suppose in between all of that, there is a really, really clear growth opportunity driven by the fact that what space is doing is it's enabling global satellite communications. And so we're seeing the emergence of, for example, aviation-based internet, and we're also seeing, the demand for global access to basically mobile services in places which currently don't have coverage. And what that means is there's a real requirement to deliver on infrastructure in space, which is enabling that technology. In the UK, we're looking to basically capture a really large slice of that market. It's a £400 billion market by 2030, and we want around about 10% of that. And of course, one of the features of this space industry is it's incredibly research and development intensive. It's highly productive because of the investment in capital infrastructure. And so critically, if we bring it down to a UK level, space is very, very strongly aligned with the opportunity for growth as an industrial sector. And of course, if we bring that to the regional level, we really want to capture a slice of that in the Midlands, and we're well placed. We're well placed to do it. So the kind of growth that we're talking about is significant. If we think about the emergence of new satellites in space growing from the current rate around about 2,000 to 12,000 by 2030, that kind of growth is the same kind of exponential rate of growth that we saw, for example, in the US automobile industry between 1910 and 1920. And we all know what happened there. We saw the emergence of mass production techniques pioneered by Henry Ford. Well, the truth is that that same impetus is driving the exploitation of and adoption of new technologies, new processes, and new methods to produce satellite and payload infrastructure in significantly larger volumes than is currently the case. And we're well placed to do that in the Midlands. And at Leicester specifically, you might question why this space park vision in Leicester. Well, the reality is that as a university, alongside our partners, the development of the space park vision, we've got an incredibly strong research profile going back over 60 years. There's been a Leicester instrument in space every year since 1967. The regional universities are pumping out 4,000 STEM-trained graduates every single year, many of whom have got transferable skills or indeed direct skills, which are relevant to that growing space industry nationally and in the region. We talked about the way in which the space sector is driven by both data, but also by the infrastructure. Again, both at Leicester and elsewhere in the regional universities in the Midlands, we've got the ability to supply end-to-end capability. And also, crucially, we've got both researchers, innovators who are interested in actually driving the impact from that space-based technology, whether that be through looking at environmental impacts and analyzing satellite data using that, or indeed looking at the ways in which we can move towards a more environmentally friendly economy. So the vision, all of these things need to take place in a place, and what we're looking to do at Space Park Leicester is create a fantastic hub to bring together space companies alongside researchers, alongside students, in a collaborative environment. And this is what is driving Space Park Leicester as a physical environment, which is emerging right now. So Space Park Leicester itself sits on a 4-hectare site in basically an enterprise zone on what is called a broader Pioneer Park site, just to the north of Leicester. So it's an urban development, but also has the advantage of being right next to the river Soar. There's existing activity already going on. So the National Space Centre was developed on the site back in the early 2000s. University of Leicester was at the heart of that vision. But then in the meantime, what we've seen the emergence of new incubator facilities in the form of DOT, backed by the City Council. And there's a further incubator coming on stream right now. And that's due to open actually in the mid part of next year. And then critically, what we've got the first 2 phases of Space Park Leicester complementing the existing assets on the site. And we also have plans for a 3rd phase coming on stream to produce in volume satellite manufacturing, which we've yet to secure the funding for, but which we're working on. And I think the important point here is, on the broader site, there is a clear opportunity to get involved in master planning, and indeed to explore opportunities around other types of investment beyond simply the industrial, but including the industrial, but stretching into things like leisure and other such activity. So Space Park Leicester, it's being massively strategically supported, both at a national level, but also at a regional level. So we are being marketed globally to space and space-enabled companies by Department of International Trade. Space Park is a high potential opportunity zone, and we're dealing with a whole bunch of global inquiries through DIT in response to that. It's also an enterprise zone, and many of you will be familiar with what that means, but specifically it provides opportunities to fast-track planning applications, alongside actually giving a level of autonomy to the site to use rates raised to actually invest in the infrastructure at Space Park Leicester. So what are we seeing emerging? Well, we're seeing obviously a collection of really high specification buildings, which at the heart of both their physical design, but also their conceptual design, is the idea of bringing together industry, students, and researchers in a collaborative effort. So if we look at the physical offer at Space Park Leicester, what we are going to see clearly is a collection of high specification buildings, which both physically and conceptually are designed to promote collaboration within the community that we're building there, that community of industry, of researchers, students, but also research agencies and innovation agencies. We're already investing in large-scale research and development programs, which will be going on inside the buildings and alongside our industrial partners. We've already attracted a European Space Agency Business Incubation Centre. So this is a kind of landmark investment by ESA in innovative space companies. And we're planning to incubate a number of those companies over the course of the next few years. And of course, what we're looking to build is a community which addresses, in corporate terms, everything ranging from startup companies at a very small scale, perhaps students or emerging out of the academic community, all the way through to large global corporates, and in between medium-sized, high-growth innovation companies, many of which, again, are potentially drawn from the spin-out community that we've already created at Leicester. And beyond that, obviously, the physical environment you'd expect is going to be, supporting the everyday activity of a business in terms of, actually being able to kind of, eat, drink, be supported through concierge services, and obviously on-site parking. And then if we start to think about elements of the R&D infrastructure, beyond simply office space, what is going to be going on at Space Park Leicester obviously is highly specified laboratories and clean rooms that firms will have access to. Alongside that, for more digital-based companies, but firms using data or indeed engaged in digital design, we're going to be hosting basically high-performance computing and digital infrastructure, alongside actually cloud-based computing access, alongside one of our major partners in a research program. And beyond that, actually, we're investing in a creative design facility, so a completely unique facility in the Midlands, which is again going to be open access, available for firms to come in and actually use as part of their product design initiatives in basically a free flowing environment with the appropriate hardware as well as kind of data to kickstart their product development activity. In phasing terms, phase one is opening in spring of 2021. Big focus on data and Earth observation. Phase two is opening just a few months later, and we've been able to deliver all of this actually in a COVID challenged world, which has been absolutely fantastic. Phase two is going to be much more focused on novel satellite production. So if we think about our industrial partners and the industrial offer, we're actually hosting some companies already at the University of Leicester, even though Space Park is not physically built. That's happening in our innovation hub. But as we build up to opening, we are in the process of signing up companies to phase one and phase two. And at the moment, our offer in terms of end users, we've got a very flexible approach, and it ranges all the way from basically being able to take up a hot desk for just a couple of days a week, having a desk of your own for on a 24/7 basis, through to full-on licenses to occupy, which are highly bespoke and really developed around the needs of the specific business. And obviously, there are a number of negotiations going on with partners in that vein at the moment. And of course, as I hinted earlier on, we're in the process, hopefully, of securing investment in a third phase, which is satellite manufacturing facility. Completely novel. It's about open access manufacturing space so that businesses can come in and develop those high volume satellites we were talking about earlier in the presentation. Gives you a real feel for the physical environment that we're developing. Just a mile and a half to the north of the city of Leicester. Great transport links, just a mile and a half from the M1, and also only 2 miles from the railway station at Leicester, Midland Main Line, hour and 10 minutes to London. So with a real advantage, even though it's a brownfield site, we're in a greenfield location next to the River Soar. So it really does offer that blend of ease of accessibility in terms of clean transport, connectivity, housing, but also actually a pleasant natural environment. And there we are, a view from space. So to give a sense of progress, this image was taken in early November, and you really do get that sense actually of the building coming together. As we suggested, this is a full-on picture of face-on picture of phase one. It's going to be opening in late April. and phase 2, the engineering element, just behind, following on just behind in autumn of next year. So, Spaceport Leicester, it's going to be an absolutely transformational environment for space production in the Midlands, which is well placed to support it with our manufacturing heritage, but also the fantastic collection of universities that we've got. It's going to be carrying the whole spectrum of activity from pure research through to the production of both satellite data companies, but also satellites themselves and payloads. It's supported by a really strong skills infrastructure. And in spite of the fact that significant investments already going into Spaceport Leicester, there are definitely going to be opportunities to talk to investors about broader investment opportunities both at Spaceport Leicester, but also on the broader Pioneer Park site. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. You know, I'm William Wells, Commercial Director of the University of Leicester, ww88@le.ac.uk, and I'd look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.